How's it going, everybody? My name is Jason. I'll be your host today on this CFL talk show, Hussey's Huddle. In this video, we try to answer the question, as of right now, are the Montreal Alouettes 2021 Grey Cup contenders? But really quickly, if you're a fan of the CFL or football in general, I think you'll like what we have here on the channel. There'll be a lot of free agency and draft content coming up here in the offseason, and then in the lead up to the 2021 season, there'll be a full top to bottom roster review of every CFL team. So you don't want to miss that. So consider subscribing or liking this video to help us out. We really appreciate it. With those things said, let's go talk about the Montreal Alouettes. About 2 weeks ago, the CFL finally lifted their transaction ban, which allows teams now to re-sign their players for 2021, and some teams have been more busy than others. And at the top of the list has been the Montreal Alouettes, who I believe could potentially become a Grey Cup contender in 2021 based on what their current moves are. One reason I think this is because of the continuity now that this group is going to bring back versus other teams potentially in the league. If you look at this roster, almost all the pieces save for John Bowman, who may retire, and Taylor Loeffler, who's a questionable signing anyway because of injuries. This team is now positioned to a point that I think at the very least they'll be able to repeat their success and be a playoff team again. But when you look at how much problems that Hamilton Tiger Cats, their main supposed competition to be the number one team in the East, all the pending free agents they have, and all the question marks they have about their roster continuity going into next season, it makes me like the Alouettes so much more. I've really loved the job that GM Danny Machocha has done to keep this group together. At the top of the list of the moves that they've done is restructure the deal of Vernon Adams Jr. This is one thing that the CFL teams, almost every CFL team, is going to be looking to do this offseason. They're looking to save money, and it's a very top-heavy cap in the CFL with the quarterbacks accounting for such a high percentage of it. And so a lot of these quarterbacks are going to be asked to restructure. Montreal has gotten it done with Adams already, and that's a huge deal going forward for this team. The next reason I love the Alouettes going forward is because one of their biggest weaknesses I saw with their team in 2019 is that they're not a very physically dominant team up front. They don't have a great offensive line. What they were really missing was this running back to really take the pressure off this offensive line. This is not the type of group that can drop back and be this one-dimensional passing offense, I don't believe, in the long run. And so what they do is they bring back William Stanback from the NFL, who got dealt a raw deal kind of by the preseason in the NFL this year, and that really hurt his chances to make the team. So he comes back to Montreal, where he was an all-star, and when he was in the lineup for this team last season, they were a dynamic offense. Go back and watch them play the Hamilton Tiger Cats in, I think it was week 4 or something. Stanback really just ripped apart the Tiger Cats and gave them that physical mentality, and it really helps them set up play action. And they didn't have, before they signed Stanback, with the retirement of James Wilder, who's not really the same type of back as Stanback, really, he's more of a finesse running back. Before they re-signed Stanback, they didn't have this guy. I think the running back position was such a huge question mark for this team. And so bringing him back is such a huge deal. I can't really understate it. And then the third reason I really like the Montreal Alouettes going into 2021, they brought back guys that they really needed to bring back to make Vernon Adams continue to develop as a CFL quarterback. I think Adams is a guy that has MVP potential, but you just have to surround him with the right players. And you look at guys like Eugene Lewis, who's his go-to number one receiver for this group. He really opens everything up for the rest of this offense. He's the only really guy that can test the defense in every area of the field. Then you bring back Tony Washington, who's this offense's best offensive lineman at left tackle. Even though he's not the best offensive tackle in the CFL at this point of his career, he's still such a solid veteran starter. It's really important that they have that position locked up, have someone that can play that role. And then they bring back wide receiver Naaman Roosevelt, who played 2019 with Saskatchewan, and then signed in 2020 free agency with Montreal, signed a 1-year deal, and then without ever playing for Montreal, he was going to have to hit free agency in 2021, but they re-signed him to another 1-year deal, and he's the kind of guy that's going to really benefit from the presence of Lewis being in this offense. I think he's going to be the guy that really helps this offense become more of a chain-moving offense, rather than just this big play-reliant offense like last year. He knows how to get open in that 10 to 15 yard range. He's really good at knowing where the first down sticks are, and he's one of the best second down receivers in the CFL, and I think that's going to be really crucial for this Montreal offense to improve its consistency on a week-to-week basis when those big plays aren't there. And then finally, and I didn't think I would say this, I like the potential of this defense more based on their re-signings, because they've re-signed the guys that I think are the highest potential players on this on defense. And that starts with Greg Reed in the secondary. Well, I think he's one of the most underrated defensive backs in the entire CFL. He was really the big bright spot on this group in 2019. And then you pair him with Tyquan Glass, who's another one of those guys that was supposed that signed a 1-year deal in 2020, only to never play for the team. And he ends up re-signing with Montreal. And those guys are going to become a very good halfback duo on either side of the field. Two really legitimate CFL starters, which I wasn't quite sure they had in 2019. And so I like their group there now in the secondary. It's so crucial in today's CFL with how much teams can spread you out and everything. One guy, if you're looking for a breakout star on the defensive line for Montreal, in terms of guys that have actually played in the CFL before, look at Antonio Simmons, who they bring back as well. And he's the guy that physically stands out the most out of any of the defensive linemen. He's a guy that is pretty explosive off the edge. Simmons just needs to become more consistent, but I think his potential is worth investing in going forward for Montreal. I think if he can take a leap, this defense could potentially become, I'm not going to say they're going to become the best defense in the CFL or anything, but I think they're right up there as a competent defense. And I think these high potential pieces on the defensive side for Montreal are going to be very crucial to complementing an offense that I think is going to be very explosive, among the CFL's best in 2021. And so I really like the potential of this group going forward. And for those reasons, I think we really need to reevaluate our perception of the Montreal Alouettes as a CFL franchise now. They've got the rebranding, they've done all these things, they've had a successful season in 2019, and we've always thought about this team since Anthony Calvillo retired in, 2013 or 2014, and ever since they have kind of become this CFL doormat. But now they've shown a level of competency that you really need to respect going forward. I think this is a team that has made a major turnaround over the last couple of years. You have an exciting young quarterback there that's just waiting to take the next step, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this team comes together as a potential Grey Cup contender in 2021. So that's going to do it for today's video. I'd like to thank you guys all for watching. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is just by hitting that like button and subscribing to Hussey's Huddle for more CFL content just like this. Be sure to let me know in the comments section below whether you think the Montreal Alouettes are Grey Cup contenders in 2021. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.